where criminals are kept than allowing the criminal to be roaming
Actually,
around.
they are kept in a safe place. Thank you so much, Wax.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Before I respond, Right Honorable, there was a little bit of exaggeration in the submission of the Honorable colleague, where he mentioned that the entire Kasese was washed away. It's not true. There are parts of Kasese, because by the time the event happened, the scenario happened, he was there. If it was the entire Kasese, he couldn't be in this house. However, we have dispatched a team of 7 engineers.
Honorable Fred, have you ever been to Kasese yourself?
I've gone there twice, Right Honorable Speaker.
Do you know the nature of the land in Kasese?
I know it is quite terrible, Right Honorable.
So you don't start with that. Tell us what you've done. It's not about coming to defend. What have you done?
Right Honorable Speaker, we have dispatched a team of 7 engineers. They're on the ground right now, trying to see the best option they can advise us to go to, so that we can rescue our Ugandans there. They access their homes and the other services in this country. And they come tomorrow, they'll be back. Then by next week, we shall respond to the situation. Thank you very much.
You're going to report on action taken or report on whether people have gone or not?
Okay, Right Honorable.
We want Fred, we want you to report on the action that you've taken so far. The immediate action, the medium, and then maybe the long term.
Much obliged, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Environment.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would like to sincerely sympathize with the people of Kasese. I've been there many times. There was a time when we went there with the Egyptians and removed the boulders. You know, whenever it rains, huge stones are washed down, and these boulders were creating.
Honorable Atkins, I'm going to call Sarah.
These boulders were creating, were stopping water from freely flowing. So we did some work with the Egyptians. We built the gabions. Then we thought that what we had done would sort out the problem. And unfortunately, it was too little. But you know, if you have been to Kasese, it is really a very, very interesting terrain, because it is, I don't know how you call it. There's a hill this side, this side, this side, this side. No, it is not like Sebei, which is mountainous. This one is a very funny mountainous area. And as a ministry, we had to come up with the idea of tree planting. In fact, we had started bamboo planting. Yes. So as a ministry, we intend to continue with tree planting. I'm glad now, Right Honorable Speaker, that the tree fund has been approved by Cabinet. So with the approval of Cabinet, we expect to get money for tree fund. And I think this is the time when we should concentrate on the Kasese. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Zijan.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable. I rise on a matter of urgent public importance regarding the absence of sign language interpreters in our courts of judicature. Right Honorable. Right Honorable Speaker, all over the country, in our criminal justice system, there are no sign language interpreters.
Is
When-
it only in court or even in Parliament of Uganda?
I am talking about court because it really touches the fundamental rights of accused persons, right, Honorable? That when an accused person is brought before court who has a hearing impairment, they are not able to understand the charges or the indictments against them, and therefore they cannot plead. Courts cannot enter a plea. And if they cannot, if a plea has not been entered, the judicial officer cannot admit the accused person to bail. The option they remain with is to remand this accused person who has not entered a plea. Right, Honorable Speaker, this is a gross violation of the rights of accused persons who have hearing impairments because it offends the cardinal principles of law, especially fair hearing and the presumption of innocence. I have made calls to different registries around the country, and they say that they will train some people, but they don't explain how long this training will take, implying that those who are victims of this human rights violation, Right Honorable Speaker, will continue to suffer until people have been trained, as if there is no unemployed sign language interpreter in this country.
Thank you.
My prayers, Right Honorable Speaker, is that this House summons the Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, specifically Honorable Norbert Mao, to explain this indefensible violation of the law. And I say specifically him because I know that he's a land colleague and he understands the gravity of this violation. Number two, that the House follows up this complaint as a matter of urgency to cure the continued violation of the rights of accused persons with hearing impairments, Right Honorable Speaker. At least if the Ministry of Justice could provide one sign language interpreter per High Court statute, so that when a judicial officer is faced with this kind of situation, they can call up so that this person receives a fair hearing. I so
Thank
pray,
you.
Right Honorable.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Summoning Honorable Mao is not a solution. What we need to do as this House is to ensure that we enhance the budget for special needs education or for special needs people. Even this House needs a what? An interpreter. So we need to put it in our budget that this must be provided for so that we have in every institution. So, I think you just love Mao. Yes.
Right, Honorable Speaker, we have a policy to do with the sign language. And we also have a policy to do with the special needs. And these have been scattered in different policies. But the good news on Monday, this was brought as one document, bringing all those that were scattered into one document. And it was passed on Monday in Cabinet. The minister in charge of gender, labor, and social development will be coming to lay it on table in Parliament, but also proceed to write to all the ministries and also guide the private sector at the time, which is ripe now that we are in the budget cycle. This should be part of what will be included in the budget, like you have just said it, Right Honorable Speaker, for all government institutions, but also guidance to the private sector. So I want to thank the member who has raised it. You are in time, just ensure that we bring the policy and it's also incorporated in the budgets of the different departments in government. Thank you.
Thank you, Second Mire. Summarize your issue.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I'm raising on the matter of war memorial sites, the mass grave which turned into historical sites across the country. Right Honorable Speaker, most of the sites are hosting skulls, bones, war equipment from the armed conflicts. Right Honorable Speaker, in my constituency, for instance, I have got 2 memorial sites. That is to say, Mukonga, in Chamusi, Kalangalo sub-county, and one in Chikandwa parish, Chikandwa sub-county. But all these memorial sites are abandoned and left to no good use. Right Honorable Speaker, these sites would be useful for tourism and education of our young generation, but are totally ignored. Right Honorable Speaker, my prayer, I pray that Ministry of Tourism updates this house on the status of each memorial site across the country. 2, government should rehabilitate the roads leading to these important sites. I beg to submit.
Thank you. Members, remember we have a bill that is going to cover all those gaps. Yes.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. I thank the member for raising this and also thank you for the guidance you have given. Right Honorable Speaker, the issue concerns our history as Uganda, also as NRM, and also concerns us in terms of tourism. So the prayers he has made, Right Honorable Speaker, most obliged, we are going to make sure they are implemented. Thank you.
Thank you. Finally, Macho. Macho, you speak from there. Why do you want to move?
Madam Speaker, I take your advice seriously, although it is a very grave, important matter.
Okay, you come in front.
Thank you, Madam. Madam Speaker, I want to thank you for this rare opportunity because some of us have been habitual backbenchers for now 6 years. So coming here is a blessing. Madam Speaker and my colleagues, I raise a matter of national importance on behalf of my people, the bosses who voted me here, the people of Busia municipality. Madam Speaker, the business we do in our constituencies, majorly by my people, apart from cross-border trade, we do a lot of enterprises in hairdressing, welding, artisan, and all this needs electricity. Madam Speaker, I'm speaking with pain that Busia as a district, sometimes, so far now 8 months, can go for a week without electricity in Busia. And sometimes we are portioned electricity that we get power 3 days, sometimes 4 days. And the same even to the place of the Right Honorable Prime Minister, who is seated here with us. Therefore, Madam Speaker, this is a problem to our business community, that people who earn from welding are no longer working. Ladies and gentlemen with saloons are not working. And moreover, government gave them money of Imyoga. The fact, Madam Speaker, of my people, I'll give an example of Western Division. One parish was given 7 million, and when we divided, every person got 5,000 shillings, although they brought you together and put up enterprises. And major of these enterprises are welding, but they are not working because of lack of power. I therefore have a prayer. Madam Speaker, my prayer number 1, excuse me, Madam Speaker, I need your protection. I'll give you, but let me drive this. Prayer number 1, Madam Speaker, I request the Minister of Energy to go to Busia this week at large and tell people why there is always load shedding, because as a result, 14 women have died in Health Center for Busia Red Cross and in Imasa. So will give information on that. And secondly, Madam Speaker, I request that you allow us, through the permission of the Prime Minister who is here, next week when we shall have no power, we tie a umeme worker on a post of electricity so that we demonstrate that really our people are going through serious pain by having their enterprises stalled without making any money. Information.
Honorable Macho, I will not allow you to do an illegality. First withdraw the illegality you want me to allow you.
Madam Speaker, I withdraw.
What have you withdrawn? All your prayers?
Madam Speaker, I withdraw and request my people not to tie a umeme worker on electric pole. I do withdraw, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for also granting me this opportunity. Madam Speaker, that issue is not only in Busia. Yesterday at around 9 p.m., the entire country experienced a power outage, Hoima City inclusive. And Madam Speaker and honorable members, this is not the first time that it has taken place. For the last 2 months, we have been experiencing power outages throughout the country. And Madam Speaker, electricity being one of the major factors of production, as a shadow minister, have been approached by traders, a number of manufacturers, individuals, specifically complaining about their electronic appliances which have been destroyed in the process of these outages. Right, Honorable Speaker, my prayers, one, that the Minister of Energy brings before this House a comprehensive explanation to what could be the root cause of these outages. Secondly, the Minister of Energy, Madam Speaker, should also come out to this House and explain the immediate interventions that the ministry has taken to permanently solve this problem. I beg to submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you for the information, my colleague. Madam Speaker, Honorable Nyangweso had requested for information.
Honorable, can we finalize?
Madam Speaker, I beg that I summarize by giving my colleague, because when I
Okay.
don't give him to be a problem. in
Okay,
Busia for me.
you now take your seat.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. My name is Dennis Nyangweso. I represent Samia Ugwe Central. The information I wanted to give my honorable colleague and the House is that Samia Ugwe Central has been privileged to have access to water, but this water has been pumped by electricity. And now for the last 9 months, because of load shedding of electricity, people have no access to water. The only hospital in the district, the general hospital, has had 9 women dying due to operations which take place, and there is power outage at that same time. So that's the information I wanted to give. Thank you so
I
much.
think
Right
this
Honorable
issue is affecting the whole country and government.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Thank you, members, for raising this issue. It's very unfortunate that we have lost lives of mothers and all other Ugandans because we have not been able to offer electricity at a time when they most needed it to save their lives. But Right Honorable Speaker, I commit myself that the Minister of Energy and Mineral Development, with your permission, accord her space on the order paper so that the explanation is given, accountability for what has happened, and also the way forward to avoid this in the future. I thank you.
Thank you. We'll expect a report from the minister next week before we break off for recess. Next item.
Item 4, motion for adoption of the report of the Committee on Public Service and Local Government on the petition on salary enhancement discrepancies for nurses and interns.
Is the chairperson here?
Item 5, motion for adoption of the report of the Committee on Physical Infrastructure on the delayed payment of contractors hired by the Uganda National Roads Authority.
Also, the chair is not here.
Item 6, motion for adoption of the report.
Get me those chairs who are not in the house when they know their reports are here.
Motion for adoption of the report of the Committee on Foreign Affairs on an oversight visit to the Uganda High Commission in London, United Kingdom.
Honorable members, the basic role of the diplomatic mission is to represent and safeguard the interests of the country. Can you first say it? The country and its citizens in the host country. Over the years, we have had concerns about the state of Ugandan's mission abroad, not only in one mission, several missions, almost all the missions. This report will give this House an insight of what is happening in the missions abroad, especially UK, because we've had numerous reports on what is happening with the missions. So the chairperson is going to briefly present the report, a summary of the report, their findings, and their recommendations. So Chair. And after this report, then we go back to action taken reports.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, for giving us this opportunity. And in haste, Right Honorable Speaker, on behalf of the Committee of Foreign Affairs, may we thank you very much for propagating support for the committee that is now actually allowing it to effectively execute its mandate. So thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. But before I make the presentation, may I lay on table the minutes of the report of the committee. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, may I now present the report of the Committee of Foreign Affairs on an oversight visit to Uganda High Commission in London. And that took place between the 20th and 26th of August 2022. The terms of reference for the oversight visit as follows, and they are listed from A to K. And Right Honorable Speaker, because of time, I shall expound that on the findings and observations. First is the mandate of the entities. Rule 187K of the Rules of Procedure of Parliament mandates the Committee of Foreign Affairs to cover 1, missions abroad, and 2, bilateral, multilateral, and international relations. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, the reporting on findings from the missions abroad is cross-cutting, and that is due to the fact that several services and programs which are provided and run at the mission cut across various sectors, including but not limited to trade, internal affairs, security, and infrastructure. These issues have a bearing on economic and commercial diplomacy, which is a docket under the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The mandate of the Uganda High Commission in London. 1 is to protect the interests of Uganda. 2, to protect Ugandans living abroad or within the limits permitted by international law. Negotiate with the United Kingdom, Irish governments, and ascertain by lawful means conditions and developments of the UK and Ireland and report thereon. And finally, coordinate with the missions accredited countries, which are the Northern Ireland, Scotland, and Wales. 2, findings and observations. The status of the mission charter, and now that touches the terms, the actual terms of reference by which we visited this mission. The status of the mission charter and its alignment to the NDP3. A mission charter is a document outlining clear objectives, structure, and planned operations of the mission. However, like all other missions abroad, this mission charter was last updated in 2014. At the time of the delegation's visit in August 2022, the mission charter was still undergoing review by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. In the meantime, the mission was being guided by one, the Uganda National Development Plan, that's the NDP3, and the Mission Strategic Plan, which was approved by the National Planning Authority as provided by Section 16.6, 18.4, and 27 of NPA Regulations 2018. The Mission Strategic Plan. As indicated above, the Mission Strategic Plan was aligned to the NDP3, and it covers the following. And again, because of time, it is listed from Roman 1 to 14, and that will be expounded as follows. Tourism development. In an effort to enhance tourism, the Uganda High Commission, through economic and commercial diplomacy, supports companies from Uganda which export to the UK and Ireland. In the same way, the mission interests UK and Ireland companies to invest in Uganda and to make Uganda number one tourism destinations. However, these are the observations. The delegation observed that while efforts were being made to promote tourism, the mission was constrained because it lacked the basic promotional materials such as banners, adequate funds to enhance media marketing and advertising. Secondly, additional budgetary support was found necessary to enable missions to carry out various activities that will promote Uganda as a best investment destination, best tourism destination, and a source of quality products to the outside markets. Recommendations. Given the commercial diplomacy with a commercial twist, government should provide a budget for this program to enable adequate tailored activities which will effectively make an impact on foreign government policy and regulatory decisions that affect global trade and investment. Secondly, government should facilitate this mission to enable it to negotiate at the World Trade Organization, European Union, and other fora where Uganda is destined to benefit. Governance and security. Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, the mission does promote regional and international peace and security through lobbying the United Nations and Ireland for both financial and technical support, especially the Great Lakes region, the Great Lakes region, South Sudan, and Somalia. Observations. Considering that Uganda has involved itself in Pan-African efforts to pacify neighboring countries, this can easily make Uganda's mission vulnerable to targets, hence the need to ensure adequate security at the official residence, and the commercial building, and the chancery. Just to re-echo or re-emphasize that point, aside from Uganda's Pan-African interventions, a lot of protests against government actually take place within the proximity of the mission. And that quite often has endangered, especially staff and people who go and access services in the mission. So we recommend as follows. The metal detectors are the entrance to the chancery, a deployment of security guards to ensure full-time watch of incidents of insecurity at both the chancery and the official residence, placement of front, side and rear boundaries, as well as side and rear gates, providing clear demarcation to the chancery. This will provide a first-line defense, a comprehensive intruder and hold-up alarm system to complement the physical security, adequate lighting around this chancery and the official residence, and establish a lift with a fob control and order to allow only staff to use lift in case visitors should be escorted by staff. In the meantime, the mission may be allowed to use some of the money, Right Honorable Speaker, collected as appropriation in aid to install the basic security equipment and personnel for the chancery and official residence. On agro-industrialization and trade, in accordance with Objective 4 of the NDP 3, this mission has contributed to commercialization and creation of competitiveness of agricultural production. The mission has established a quarterly consultative framework for imports of Ugandan products to identify opportunities and the challenges that they often face. The delegation visited Spitalfields Market, where most of Uganda's agricultural products are sold. This market was established in 1197. This is a very old market under the Corporation of London. It is strategically located near London City Airport, Heathrow, London Stansted airports. The market receives a lot of agricultural products from Uganda, ranging from matoke, sweet potatoes, red chili, avocado, and sugarcane, coming amongst others. These products are brought by air cargo, and there are photos of reference to that effect. However, and again, Right Honorable Speaker, as it was already mentioned in the report, this market is and every single person goes there. Traders, producers, all sorts of people. But then the absence sometimes of Ugandan products is so glaring, whereas it is a key opportunity that, however,
Madam Speaker, sorry for interrupting, but it is common knowledge that this particular information was uploaded a fortnight ago, and I'm sure most members are abreast with the details. Wouldn't it be procedurally proper for the member to go for observations and recommendations rather than going for word by word?
Thank you. And honorable member, this has been on the order paper for the last 2 weeks or more. And the presumption is everybody has looked at it. Just go to the general observations and recommendations. Actually, you call it general challenges.
Right Honorable Speaker, it is true that this has been on order paper for quite some time. But when you read the report, each item has its own uniqueness, and it comes with the recommendations. So may I if you can allow me, and also these issues that are in this report over the years, Much obliged, Right Honorable Speaker. I'll delve through from your guidance to the general challenges affecting the performance of the mission. And that's the first one is the high freight cargo, sanitary and other requirements. Inadequate resources for promotion activities by the missions due to budget ceilings provided by Minister of Foreign Affairs, or rather Minister of Finance. The mission requires a total of 71 million for the 5-year period.
The House of Minister of Foreign Affairs is not in the House. Wouldn't it be procedural right when they are presenting such an important report to have the Minister of Foreign Affairs in the House so that issues that come up are handled immediately?
Are we going to stop legislating because of inefficiency of ministers? Yes, tourism, trade.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Speaker. And so also the reason why we put in our rules of procedure 220, so that actions taken by the House, whether the minister is there or not, will be acted on and reported back to the House. So while we would have desired that the minister be in the House, now that's not there, would request that we continue. We are capturing, government is here, and then also the rule requires the minister to come back and report to the House on the actions. Thank you.
Thank you. Can you finalize?
Certainly, Right Honorable Speaker, just one more page. Foreign exchange losses. The mission spends in Great British pounds. The entitlement, salaries, contracts, and commitments are still indicated in pounds. But the actual mission budget, just like other missions, is prepared and approved in Uganda shillings. It is, however, noted that over time, the shilling often depreciates against the foreign currencies, hence leading to a loss on foreign exchange and eventually affecting the mission's budget and operations. Budget ceilings and recurrent budget shortfalls. Funding of missions of the mission has greatly been affected by the budget ceilings and recurrent shortfalls. It was observed that while the mission's requirements keep increasing every year, the approved budget for the respective years doesn't keep pace. The mission budget was cut from 6 billion during the financial year 2021-22 to, 6,700 million to 6,150 million in financial year 2020-2023. This financial year, 2022-2023, the total deficit for critical items is 733,950,000, while the total budget shortfall is 1,560,570,000. Finally, general recommendations. The Minister of Foreign Affairs, in conjunction with the Minister of Public Service, should ensure that the following staff are deployed at the missions. First is the education attaché, commercial attaché, labor attaché, and tourism
attaché. This is basically to take advantage of the opportunities availed in the United Kingdom. Secondly, government of Uganda should provide funds to enable establishment of official representation of Uganda in Ireland by establishing a diplomatic mission in Dublin with initial minimum staffing. Thirdly, Minister of Finance should review and consider for inclusion in the ministry's annual budget 2022-3 the priority budget proposals submitted by the missions to enable them to effectively discharge their mandate. And finally, government of Uganda should enhance on all foreign service allowances. Right, Honorable Speaker and colleagues, I do beg to submit or lay the report on table. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable Member, for representing the committee. Honorable Pollard, thank you so much. And members, when you look at these issues that are cross-cutting, it's not about the UK embassy alone. It's all over. The allowances that are given to these people out there, when they change them, they exchange what he's talking about, the foreign exchange losses. They pay them in Uganda shillings, and when they exchange, it comes to very little money. Those people are expected to be paid a little higher, but what they get is really less compared even to the cost of living in those countries. So as a country, those are, it's about the image of Uganda. You need to look at that. The issue of releases. Just imagine somebody is living in Russia. We appropriate money here, but no money is released. How do you expect that person to live in such a country? These people need the money for them to be able to operate. So you need to look at this mission like the way you look at the account of parliament, because they represent this country out there. I was asking somebody in Russia, how much do you earn as an allowance? And I was surprised. I said, maybe I would rather be in Bukedea than being in Russia, because in Bukedea I can go and dig and get money. But when you look at the allowance these people are getting, it's not really something that can push anybody to go out there. And then most of our buildings that are out are depleted. These buildings, when you look at them, are really not worth it, saying these are our buildings. So, honorable members, you've heard. Yes.
Thank you, Honorable
I am
Speaker.
opening a debate for only 10 minutes.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Speaker. And I want to thank the chair for the report. But of course, let us believe that the absence of ministers of foreign affairs, definitely our foreign missions have to be like that. Because this on the other papers are released the day before. And every member, minister, we all have iPads and information to access information about what will take place tomorrow. But right now, Speaker, we need more time for foreign missions. We must know the purpose of creation of foreign missions. The moment we discover that, we shall do what is required by our country. Two, when you talk about a charter, what's the purpose of a charter? If you cannot review a charter for over 10 years, then that's not a charter. What are the goals, objectives, aims, and achievements that we receive from the foreign mission? We have also under PAC, right now, Speaker, we invested these missions. We know the challenges, but let us take comparison between other East African states, Rwanda, Kenya, Tanzania, and see how they manage their foreign missions and compare ourselves with those missions. The challenge we have here, and this is factual, our foreign missions became political missions. We need people with the career guidance. There's one of our member, the prophet, I think is His Excellency, he was a Minister of Internal Affairs some time back. Honorable Baba, he raised the serious issues here when we are idealizing somebody I don't remember very well. We have all the capacity, but is there a willingness from government, Madam Prime Minister, to give power and energy to these foreign missions? We have a lot of wealth in America. Look at our Uganda house. This next to UN headquarters. And they were hiring that building. But because of mismanagement and not giving care to the foreign missions, we are losing money. In Washington, we have a big house earning us $60,000 per month. But all the money disappears mysteriously. So I think right now, Speaker, we have to give more attention, but definitely, the type of government running in this country, that's the way they can run government. They cannot go beyond that. They have failed, and they will fail whatever can earn us money. We need the foreign income from foreign missions. We need tourists, but all that work is done through foreign missions. And unfortunately, Madam Speaker, the Honorable Chair, the Chair of Foreign Affairs Committee, is well educated in foreign affairs, because I know where he worked from before he came to Parliament. And thank you very much, but it's very painful.
Thank you. Government, I hope you're taking note of matters raised by members. Ethics. Honorable Saba.
Madam Speaker, 20 years ago, I was the chairman of the Parliamentary Committee of Parliament and Foreign Affairs Committee. The committee then combined those two, presidential and foreign affairs. And one of our concerns at the time, and having traveled quite a lot to our missions, was exactly the issues that our colleague here is raising. 20 years later, hardly anything has changed. And the truth of the matter is, Madam Speaker, the world is changing. If you can't invest in commercial diplomacy, frankly, you're going to be weak. Your influence in the world is going to be minimal. I just wonder what goes on, Lord, with our colleagues in government, not to understand that the survival of our nation, the ability for Uganda to remain a member that is respected among the community of nations, that failure explains why we continue to ask for resources for these missions. I would want to propose, Madam Speaker, finally, that this House takes it upon itself to fundamentally have a look at the state in which our missions are in. It's in our interest that we have missions which are very well represented. We have men and women who are eminent and able to be the correct face of this nation, but that something is going wrong. Can I therefore suggest, Madam Speaker, that you consider allowing Parliament to have a critical look at the state our missions are in? Thank you.
Thank you. Much as we really want to have a critical look on our missions abroad, there is also a financial constraint. You cannot be able to send people to all the missions, and still we ask finance to provide for that. Yes. Zombo.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to thank the Chair of the Committee on Foreign Affairs for the presentation. I also made some observations. One, investing in commercial diplomacy is a very important thing, and it should be a key thing in most of our diplomatic missions. This is very important because we need to build our economy, but from the local resources alone, we cannot do that. That's why we need to invest a lot in diplomatic, commercial diplomacy. Before I came to Parliament, I was working in Southeast Asia, especially the Mekong region, Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia, Myanmar, and Laos. We didn't have a presence of a diplomatic mission. We had only embassy in Kuala Lumpur and Beijing.
And it is very difficult for Ugandan students who are there for you to get even visa in the Mekong region. You have to go to Kuala Lumpur. The good thing, you get visa there on arrival. But to go to Beijing, you need another visa. I'm happy that last week, His Excellency, the President, went to Vietnam to see, to interact with that country that is really focused on the economy, especially in the agricultural sector, focusing on rice and coffee and infrastructure. I think that country has moved, and I'm hopeful that a lot of initiatives were shared there that can help Uganda. Then number two, we have the World Trade Organization. We need the Ministry of Trade here and Foreign Affairs to really pay attention to the issues that go on at the World Trade Organization in Geneva. On many occasions, I've observed, even when very important meetings are going on, Ugandan seat is empty. So we really need to focus on that so that we can really build our commercial diplomacy and also benefit and build the economy of Uganda. I want to thank the committee for the report.
Thank you. Okumu? Gabriel?
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. When you called Zombo, we're all up. Thank you for remembering me. I would like to thank the chair for the report. However, I would like to ask the August House to particularly pay attention to our embassies abroad. Because if we have good embassies, which will promote the image of the country, Right Honorable Speaker, even our agricultural produce will be able to face good prices in the world market. Today, I would like to inform the August House that because of our poor marketing, coffee prices are at a free fall at the global stage. And our farmers, 6 months ago, the price was at 12,000 approximately in Zombo, and today they are trading at about 7,000 within a space of about 4 months or 3 months. I think our missions, much as they are out there, the August House should give them priority to give them more budget, but also on their part, they should actually work for the people to make sure that our produce faces better prices. I beg to submit. Thank you very much, Dr.
Thank you, Honorable Goli. Then Soroti East.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. And thank you for your presentation, the chair of the committee. What I want to mention clearly is that when you focus your attention on promotion of products, you must promote a product which has been produced. So what is happening is, what I would recommend is that your recommendation should touch the area of production so that it can be promoted. But when you say we are going to promote goods into UK, yet you have not made the goods be adoptive and can be exported, then you have not completed the recommendation. Further, you made the issue of airline. I think we should have an express recommendation which advises the airline of Uganda to try their best to at least support cargo exports, so that you have the airline. Let it have maybe combi space so that you can support the process, both of production, but also the logistical support for export. Thank you.
Thank you. Maybe we also need to find out if we have a written foreign policy. Soroti East.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I'd like to thank the Honorable Fred Opolot and the Committee of Foreign Affairs for this good exposition of the report. Madam Speaker, I just would like to make a comment specifically on the matter in as far as remuneration and facilitation of foreign service officers is concerned. Madam Speaker, I was privileged to be in your delegation last year to the 5th Eurasian Summit in Moscow, at St. Petersburg. Madam Speaker, the foreign mission there in Russia was involved in a lot of commercial diplomacy. They had a lot of exhibitions about our coffee, about our agricultural product, and also trying to attract industries of Russia to Uganda. But when we interacted with the staff of the mission, one thing that struck us is that our foreign service staff still get a foreign service allowance of 4,000 United States dollars. If you're here, you might be alarmed and you think that's a lot of money. But again, when we question them, how much does it take you to rent an apartment? Mark you, that's an apartment, not a house. An apartment, for instance, in Moscow costs between 2,500 to 3,000 United States dollars. Remember, these people have families. They have to go ahead and also be able to subsist within such an economy. I suppose today, with the current sanctions in such a mission, it is even worse. Madam Speaker, the House should note here that these current foreign service allowances were determined way back in 2007. Uganda attempted to review foreign service allowances 2 years ago, but it was stayed. We therefore implore Parliament that as we debate this report, we must look into the aspect of facilitating our foreign service officers. Madam Speaker, I just wanted to comment on one more thing about equipping foreign missions. Many of my colleagues here in the House, whenever they arrive on a particular foreign visit, the first people they would like to see at the airport are the people from the mission. And I bet you anything, when you arrive there, we are all expecting them to accord us certain courtesies as VIPs of this country. But most of the time, these people cannot even afford beyond one vehicle that the ambassador is allocated.
Silwan, you stop distorting the ministers.
I thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. For instance, Madam Speaker, our mission in Rome has only one vehicle that is allocated to the ambassador. And sometimes when dignitaries from Uganda arrive at Rome, then the ambassador has to fix herself together with all the dignitaries from Uganda and others, even including in the extra seats at the boot of the vehicle, because she would like to manage the VIPs from Uganda. These matters are very serious. And I believe that just like the way we allocate resources to some projects, some of which don't even return investment as well as growth in this country, we need to support our foreign missions, because the image that the people perceive of you is the one that determines, in their view, how serious you are. I thank you, Madam Speaker,
Thank you.
and I support this report. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Biakatonda, Ivanda. Members, 1 minute.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. That a very important aspect that can actually contribute to nation building and foreign exchange. However, I find that one, we need to ensure that at least these embassies and the excellencies they are in can think of avenues. Because me as a human resources officer, we want to see that they exceed the requirement in terms of performance. For example, can they really look at avenues where you can have a catalog, where you can actually have exports going to these countries? Right Honorable Speaker, one time I was on the streets of London and I saw a jackfruit. When I looked at the price tag there, they were saying 149 pounds, which translates into about $70,000 here, I think. How much? Shillings. It was 149 pounds. Yes. So, Right Honorable Speaker, it's 149. pounds 149. That's it. Oh, okay, whatever the computation. So, Right Honorable Speaker, I would urge that we really need to look at
You
these
know,
few things.
whatever the figure is, because
Yes.
you're a human resource person, you're not an accountant.
That's very true.
Yes.
So, Right Honorable Speaker, because I think our participation as a government, as a country, we want to see how we can actually step up export promotions and reduce on imports. This would even increase employability. So I think you find that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Members, we have a lot of opportunities outside there that we are not maximizing, and we need to do so. But we can only do that by also motivating our members, our staff who are in those embassies. Yes.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity. I would want to take this opportunity to thank the chair of the committee for the good report. The Right Honorable Speaker, as per the chair, the most important aspect is for these missions is to protect and promote the image of our country as Uganda. I had the privilege of traveling to Egypt, Cairo. We went to our embassy. The Honorable Speaker and honorable colleagues, it's alarming. The ambassador took us around, see the structures, dilapidated structures where the embassy, the ambassador is sleeping. Really, you say one mission is that you're going to protect, but what are you protecting when yourself you are in that sorry state? It was so disturbing. And two, our missions are not being facilitated to protect our citizens abroad. Many of our citizens are being ground up, put in jails. But when you ask the embassy, first of all, they have lesser staff, understaffed. The one who is serving, the one who is manning the gate as a security man, the one who is serving the embassy, why don't they have staff? So the issue of staff also, the Honorable Speaker, is very, very critical. And two, if the issue is about funds, why don't they merge? Because you see, we have the Embassy of Canada in TZ, but if you want the visa here, you get the visa from, why don't they merge? Do what you can manage. The other embassies should be closed so that we have those ones, the country that we can manage, than having many when we are not.
Thank you. We should be able to bite what we can swallow. Let's not take too much when we cannot afford to look after them. Elijah.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, allow me to take up from where Honorable Hubbard ended on the issue of the funding to the missions. And I want to bring it to the current ambassadors, high commissioners who have been appointed. I happened to be in Pretoria about 2 months ago. It is shocking that Minister of Finance has not released money to enable our high commissioner to go and submit his letters to other countries in the region, because that mission covers 6 countries. Madam Speaker, we were with the Deputy Speaker in Mozambique. The High Commissioner could not come to Mozambique before he presents his credentials to the head of state of Mozambique to receive the Deputy Speaker in Mozambique. So what is this so special with the Minister of Finance that it can consider this as consumptive? Honorable Speaker, just concluding on that. I think the Prime Minister here must take it up. Good enough, the Minister of Finance is here. Are we serious when we are deploying our ambassador? It's now coming to 6 months. They have not left the mission to go and present their credentials to those countries that they are manning in the region. And it's not only limited to that. Even those that have gone to other countries, those in Tanzania were supposed to cover the other regions, have not been able to travel to deliver, to present their credentials. So I think, Prime Minister, we call upon you that let finance release money, because we budgeted the money. It could have been little, but it was budgeted for to enable those activities to be done. Let it not just be taken that they are consumptive expenditures. So, Right Honorable Speaker, I think we want to move the House that finance releases the money and provide for those high commissioners, ambassadors that have not presented their credentials to the respective countries to do so. Thank you.
Prime Minister, when you look at the mandate of the high commissions, one of them is for them to protect the interests of Ugandans. And in protecting the interests of Ugandans, they must take care of the Ugandans, have interaction with the Ugandans who are living there for them to know what is happening. But the same case of what happened in Russia, there was a student who committed suicide. The embassy could not even afford to bring back the body of that student and the student was on government sponsorship. So we need to be able to facilitate our embassies to operate within what they are supposed to do. Yes.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for giving me an opportunity. Right Honorable Speaker, I picked a point from page 9 in regards to the residents. Right Honorable Speaker, one of the basic needs according to Maslow concerns the provision of shelter. But Right Honorable Speaker, you realize that the High Commissioner is renting and paying 150 pounds, 50 pounds per day. I was trying to compute. It amounts to about 54,000 pounds a year, which translates to about 270 million per year. This is quite a lot. That's per bed.
You finish it.
How many beds are being rented? Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I concur with the recommendation of the committee that finance should consider giving money because they were requesting only 608 million shilling to renovate the resident for the High Commissioner. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Actually, per month, they are paying 22,500,000, and that is a little higher. So the issue of renovation will be more feasible. Yes, Saba Christo.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. When we talk about Uganda being represented in another country, I think we should also look at the human resource there, the quality of the human resource. We should have people who are well trained in the diplomacy. It is very alarming that majority of the staff and the ambassadors, because an ambassador is called His Excellency or Her Excellency. That means is representing the whole country. Somebody who doesn't know diplomacy to represent a whole country, I think the appointing authorities should also.
That's a general perception. Which ones lack diplomacy?
Most of.
No, it shouldn't be most of them. Just give us an example of a country. You may not mention a person. Give us an example of a country and say country X, country B.
But Right Honorable Speaker, I think
that's a sweeping statement.
It is sweeping, but in most cases you'll find that those maybe who have failed somewhere are the ones who are appointed as ambassadors somewhere.
No, we have credible ambassadors. We have credible ambassadors. You cannot say that our ambassadors lack diplomacy. It's just like saying that MPs are all, they are all what? Equivalents. No, we are not equivalents. You understand? Don't call everybody that they lack diplomacy. They do have diplomacy. They go through a vetting process for them to go there, and they are vetted and approved by this house. Unless if you're telling me this house has a problem. Because we are the ones who approve them. Imat Cecilia. The next, I've seen the members who are standing, you'll debate on the next item.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, this is a very important matter, and I just want to touch on a few issues. I thank God that Honorable James Usababuturi is here, Elijah Cooper. Right Honorable Speaker, I want this Parliament to know that the Foreign Affairs building you see now was driven by Parliament. We decided that Foreign Affairs must move away from that old wretched building and give a good image for our Foreign Affairs. We work hard to make sure we have today a Foreign Affairs building which presents the right image of this country. Right Honorable Speaker, if you go to Washington, DC, you find that in the ambassador's office, there are buckets collecting water if you go when it's raining. I went there and I found buckets collecting water there. Right Honorable Speaker, I'm just giving you information. Right Honorable Speaker, I was in Brussels. In Brussels, actually, our building was already blacklisted for criminal hideouts. And we had to work hard to make sure that we pulled out money to rehabilitate that place. Right Honorable Speaker, recently when the Queen died, I was in the UK. You are the one who sent me there. And I saw this place. Can you imagine? Ambassador doesn't have a heating system when it is winter, -degrees. And I mean, what is going on? And London is our key center. Right Honorable Speaker, the Right Honorable Prime Minister and myself and Peter Ogwang were in China. A very prime land with free loan was given to us to develop property. Nobody has taken action. Are we really serious? So I think really, Right Honorable Speaker, look for the Foreign Affairs. We need strategic plan so that we know where we are going. I thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, and we should have a policy which is written. We don't have a foreign Honorable Prime Minister. Let's first hear from Lob, then Prime Minister.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I will commence with the one of the national.
Honorable Haji, issues of works are coming in and you're the shadow.
I think
Shadow, I want you in.
I applaud the UK mission for the good working relationship between them and the Ugandans living in the diaspora, Madam Speaker. They are reputed for mobilizing our diaspora citizenry for development through their remittances, investment, PPP, and skill transfer. But Madam Speaker, there is a serious grave concern from our Ugandans in the diaspora, especially when it comes to the fact that they do not participate in the governance of their country. Madam Speaker, it is this enfranchisement that has been occasioned on them, given that we have not fast-tracked the Constitutional Review Commission to have an amendment in the Constitution so that they are allowed to exercise their rights and the privilege to vote for their leaders. Madam Speaker, lastly, the issue of lack of a well-documented national foreign policy is a serious concern because it is a serious impediment on the realization of our National Development Plan 3. And I don't know why the government is in limbo over something in the cemetery. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Prime Minister. Number one, we need to know what is happening with the national foreign policy, whether we have it or not.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable
Including in
Speaker.
the charter.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. And I want to thank the committee for a good report. It's a good guiding document. And thank you so much, Chairperson and the whole committee. And also want to thank you, Speaker, for according them time. Members, we have a foreign policy, but it's not written. But it's guided by the Constitution. But what you are demanding of us is to have it written, go through the whole process, and lay it on the table in Parliament. I want to take that up because it is something that we ought to have done years before.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and I thank the Prime Minister for allowing this clarification about the unwritten foreign policy. I wanted to know from among the government officials. And
There is no an unwritten policy. There is no policy.
No,
There is no policy.
I wanted to know in whose brain is this among the ministers here, so that we can.
There is no
know.
policy. Right Honorable Prime Minister.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. Honorable members.
Anyway, we need a policy, a written policy.
Yes, Right Honorable, most obliged. Right Honorable members, the report has given us good, the recommendations are good, and we all desire for that. When it comes to issues of rehabilitating the embassies, you have appropriated funds, and this has been going on. What we require is that we should speed up, since the competition in the world, especially in making sure our interests as a country are really covered in all the areas where we have embassies, especially issues to do with the commercial diplomacy, where we have to look at trade and labor. We must look at this and give it priority. You have appropriated funds here. That's why our UN house in New York was rehabilitated, because you appropriated funds. And as we talk now, it is also happening in Nairobi, our High Commission in Nairobi. Now that is the phase where we are. So the issue to do with the export, our interests in trade and whatnot, members, I agree with you. Let's have our policy implemented, adding value to our products, because that's how we shall be able to implement the import substitution policy. When you look at the
maybe before we say let's have it implemented, let's have it first. We don't have a policy. Let's have a policy in place first, then we implement it.
But Right Honorable Speaker, I've said that 3 times for the time I've been on the microphone. And there's no other word that I can employ other than most obliged, which I've already used. I need the guidance to this then.
Let's have the policy first, then we implement it and we do the business.
But Right Honorable Speaker, what I was saying is that the price of the coffee beans may go down, but not the price of road coffee. The price of cocoa beans may go down, but not the price of chocolate.
Procedure. Right Honorable Speaker, my young sister, who is now the Prime Minister today, she's my younger sister, please. I'm the one who knows, not you. Right Honorable Speaker, she's trying to justify that there is actually a policy which must be implemented, and you have labored to explain to her that there is no policy. Can I therefore procedurally advise, or probably you can guide us as to why we should give money to foreign affairs unless we have a policy to guide us where that money is going to go? Is it therefore procedurally right for this foreign affairs ministry to continue asking for money for development, for recurrent budget, when actually they don't have a policy? Is it procedurally right, Honorable Speaker?
Prime Minister, we need a policy in this house before we go to the budgeting process.
Right, Honorable Speaker, most obliged. I want to, Right Honorable Speaker, to say I support the report. Thank you.
Thank you so much, honorable members and the Prime Minister, for supporting the report. And when you look at this report, it cuts across so many missions, almost all the missions. I now put a question that the report of the Committee of Foreign Affairs on oversight visit to the Ugandan High Commission in London, United Kingdom, be adopted with its amendments. Those in favor say and to control and nay. The ayes have it. Executive, please prepare and bring action taken on all the issues that have been raised on this as per Rule 2020. Thank you.
Item 3, presentation of action taken report on resolutions of the 11th Parliament, May 2021 to May 2022. 3.1, the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives.
Thank you so much. You know, the Minister of Trade is one very, very royal minister. He's always here even before anybody. Very consistent minister. We want to thank you first of all for that. And next time when we go for an award, actually when we are going for Christmas dinner, we should have awards so that we can be able to give you an award. So can we look at the issues that were raised, decisions taken and actions taken?
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, colleagues. I want to invite colleagues to page 47 of the report of the Leader of Government Business, which was uploaded regarding actions taken by government on resolution of the 11th Parliament. The House resolved issue number 1 was on the 200,000 that was charged on the farmers to supply pumps by the cooperative of Teso Farmers Cooperative Union. And the House resolved that this money should be refunded. Madam Speaker and colleagues, we have agreed to refund this money in a phased manner beginning with January next year.
There's a procedure matter.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, Rule 41, Prime Minister's time, there shall be time designated as Prime Minister's time, commencing at 4 p.m. every Thursday. Right, Honorable Speaker, are we proceeding well? Yet this is the right time for the Prime Minister. And this
Honorable member, the custodian of these laws is the Speaker of Parliament, and since the Speaker of Parliament has said, can we go to action taking reports? That is a decision of the Speaker. And the fact that these are actions that have been taken by executive, which you expect from the Prime Minister, it is, I am using my prerogative as a Speaker to have this on the floor. Can we look at action taken reports?
Resolution number 2 was to do with the supply of fruits. The House resolved that the cooperative Teso Cooperative should not monopolize the supply of fruits to the factory and recommend that this should be opened up. Madam Speaker, this has been opened up. The cooperative now only supplies 20% of the required fruits, and 80% is required by other organized farmers, not only in Teso region, but even in the neighboring districts. Item number 3, resolution number 3, was that the House resolved that we should put the board of the factory immediately in place. Action taken, UDC, which is a shareholder, has nominated 5 members to the board, and these will be ratified by the general meeting, which is scheduled for December, this month that we have started. The House resolved the IGG should investigate the Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Ndaula Douglas, and the entire management because of possible infrating of the cost of operations and other related expenditures for financial 2020-2021. Madam Speaker, the CEO, Mr. Ndaula Douglas, has since stepped down from the company. We have also agreed the IGG continues to investigate, and then actions will be taken after the investigations. We resolved as the House that the factory should secure a way bridge, and action taken through the supplementary provided by this House, for which we are very grateful. The way bridge has been put in place, procured and installed with a capacity of 100 tons. The certification process of the way bridge is being concluded by UNBS. We also resolved number 6, that the government should provide the factory with funds to start the process of oranges, which are predominantly grown by farmers in the Teso sub-region. Madam Speaker and honorable colleagues, government 3 weeks ago approved the capitalization, increased capitalization of UDC from 500 billion Uganda shillings to 5 trillion Uganda shillings, creating a headroom for the company to be able to invest in not only processing facilities like this oranges and others, but also to consider others like cocoa in Ibundibujo, cassava in the Acholi land, and also Irish potatoes in the Kigezi sub-region. So this will be done as soon as we get the resources. We recommended, as you recommended as the House, termination of the contract between UDC and the Teso Cooperative Union. Madam Speaker, we are of the view that this has no consequence because there is no monopoly by the cooperative union, since it only contributes 20% of the required supplies. We also recommend that we should separate the powers between UDC and the cooperative union, and the action taken, this has been achieved with the appointment of the board members and management, and this will be fully implemented when the board is ratified this month at the general meeting. You recommend there should be a forensic audit into the management of the factory. I here to report that the Auditor General is currently undertaking the audit, and we are waiting for this report, and action will be taken after the Auditor General has reported at Parliament, since he is an officer of Parliament. Number 10, you resolve that 20% of the shares in the cooperative union allegedly owned by the in the factory allegedly owned by the cooperative union be opened up to other farmer cooperatives and unions in Teso sub-region. Since this is a legal matter, we think that it can mostly be implemented and action taken when a new body is in place after the ratification of the members this month. Number 11, a contract reviews and performance of the staff, action taken we have developed a strategic plan where key performance indicators and targets have been set, and all staff are being reviewed, including vacant positions that are to be filled. Action number 12 out of the 15, investigating the project manager for the Parliamentary Wall and the road. Mr. Masiko Jude is no longer an employee of UDC since 2016, but the IGG is investigating these allegations, and action will be taken after the investigations. The value for audit on the factory, as I said, Madam Speaker, the Auditor General is auditing and will take action after he has reported Parliament accordingly. Number 14, resolution number 14, that in order to grow, the company and ensure that Root to Food Factory meets the demand of the farmers, all shareholders should make their fair contribution toward the capitalization and administration cost of the company. Capital restructuring of this factory has been approved by UDC board. Mobilization for more capitalization is being done by the shareholders. The resolution number 15 was that we should incorporate corporate governance in the running of the factory affairs. This has been done because now the new board will be in place, separate management with the board issues. Sexually, a fully fledged packaging line. Madam Speaker, Parliament resolved that we should procure a fully mechanized packaging line to improve efficiency and effectiveness of the production in the factory. Action that we have taken, we are grateful that through the supplementary budget of 5.5 billion, which was provided by this House, together for the packaging process, has been done. The process of procurement to acquire a new line is ongoing. In addition, more land has been acquired from Uganda Investment Authority in the Soroti Industrial and Business Park for the expansion plan. So once the procurement is done, we'll install this packaging line and expand the factory to be able to accommodate the increased production by the people of Teso. The last resolution were the officers that are said to have misappropriated funds and which were appropriated and invested by UDC in the Soroti Food Factory step aside as investigations are carried out. And if they are found not guilty, they can be reinstated to their offices. Mr. Masiko Jude has since then, no, actually, he's no longer staff since 2016. But more importantly, the CEO, who is the key manager of the factory, has stepped down as investigations go on. So these are the actions that we have taken on the resolutions of this House. I submit.
Thank you so much, Honorable Hati. And I assume not to have heard about the rice, the report on rice. You've only concentrated on Soroti. Then there was an issue of the sugar. Yes.
Also conspicuously missing is the resolution on the controversial coffee deal. It has not been captured and could be deliberate.
On the coffee, Vinci coffee, as you said, Lopit is deliberate because it is being handled by another ministry. The Minister of Finance will come and report on that. On rice.
Actually, the contract of coffee was between Minister of Finance and Attorney General's chambers.
Madam Speaker, we will ensure that the actions taken on rice and
The
tea,
then tobacco.
yes, will be done. I mean, we shall make a report next week to the
Now,
House.
what we are going to do, Honorable Bahati, we will not subject your resolutions to a debate until we have everything from your ministry. Then we will debate on all of them at once. Yes, Milton?
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. In line with your guidance, the minister has presented action taken. But last week we did resolve that they should also be laying something evidential to this effect, because he has been saying we have done this, but there's no empirical evidence laid on table. Thank you.
Of course, like when you say they are being audited, we want evidence that the audit is taking place. They wrote a letter to Auditor General. When you say the board is put in place, who are the board members that you've already selected? We need action taken plus evidence-based. That's what we need. Yes, I hope you're not on debate on this thing.
Madam Speaker, we will lay the letters that we have referred to, for example, the CEO stepping aside, the work of the Auditor General and others to the House next week. But needless to state, Madam Speaker, that the lead of government business and all of us were reporting on action taken on the reports which were considered between May 2021 to May 2022. So that is the report that has been submitted by government to this House. And the one of rice came after May 2022.
Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker.
Yes,
The matter I had thought Honorable Bahati had understood, because since Tuesday you have been attending, your colleagues, you see how they have been presenting. They come with a written report. You saw yesterday when Honorable Nabakoba was presenting the one for lands, the issue of Naguru, the issues of Kasoli. It was in a written format with annexes attached. I think that's what the Speaker is asking of you, and that's the format of your colleagues. So could you please adopt that such that we are able to cross-check this information?
No, he says he's going to bring next week.
You should have said it. I'm not ready.
By the way, even the market bill falls under you. Bill, doesn't it fall under you? Could you give us the position? What is the status of the market bill, which has taken almost 6 months? Yes, Peter. Then, Doctor.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to thank the minister for the action taken that has been presented now. Although, Right Honorable Speaker,
Are you debating on what
I'm
I've
not
already
debating. I want to give information about the cassava, the promotion of cassava growing and processing, where he stated.
Honorable Peter Ochen, you're getting out of the whole context. Can we debate it on Tuesday?
But Right Honorable Speaker, I
I am
to give
saying,
information.
can we debate it on Tuesday?
Right Honorable Speaker, mine is a procedural issue that last week the presiding speaker guided that the minister should present to us the action report as per the Rule 220 that requires both resolution and recommendations. And they were guided, like you've just guided now, that the report be amended. But I was going through the report that has just been presented now. It did not accommodate the resolutions that we made last week to include the recommendations that you rightly highlighted, that other issues that were not reflected here. So are we really proceeding right to receive more reports, which is just the same as the one we received last week? And we requested that should be amended to accommodate most of the areas that were omitted. Thank you.
He's going to amend them and present next week. The next presentation, he will have amended it and brought evidence to the effect, and then he will submit it. Thank you. Yes, Jenna.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Madam Speaker, this rule 220 under which we are proceeding commands the ministers to bring action taken reports. From the reports that have been submitted so far, it is clear that some ministers, and it will continue, are not reporting on some aspects. And there is no rule that guides us on how we shall proceed with that. I wanted to ask you, Madam Speaker, that when you retreat to your chambers, under Rule 8, you get guidance for us on how we are going to proceed with ministers that either intentionally or unintentionally omit certain reports to bring to this house. How will the house proceed with those ministers? So I wanted to ask that when you retreat, and you can give us guidance next week on this matter so that we are able to know what we shall deal with this minister.
Honorable Jonathan, when I gave an order that we should have reports, I brought it very clearly that you need to extract everything that was discussed for a particular ministry. If a minister brings partly what he thinks he can answer, then you should be able to raise what he has not brought and must be responded. So that ruling was already made. For me, I have issues that have not been covered. I also expect you people to have issues that were not covered. So you need to do your research and make sure that everything that was brought in this house, be it oral or whichever, should be covered. That's why they have a rebuttal. They do a rebuttal on whatever is presented. Yes.
Procedure, right?
Procedure on what? On the same?
I have an urgent issue which I want to inform the minister.
We are not on those urgent issues.
All right, Honorable Speaker, it's very urgent and the
Christine,
an opportunity, right?
Christine, we are on actions taken. Urgent issues will come immediately after the speaker's communication. Honorable members, originally, I don't even know where the May issue came from. That May to May. I don't know where it came from. If you look at the Hansard and check, you will not get it. It did not come from me. I said I want actions taken. To date, why don't you give us the actions? The rules do not specify the time. And that's why I was telling members, instead of you raising matters of national importance, bring it to when members are presenting action taken. Because you need to have actions taken. There are those that take a long time. You will report it is in progress. Yes. Next.
Right, Honorable Speaker. I think we'll have to guide our ministers to adhere to what guidance you have just given, because the letter the Prime Minister wrote to the ministers was May 2021 to May 2022. And that's what the ministers are prepared. So you bear with us for those who are going to present up to May 2022. Then we go back and do as per your guidance.
No problem.
Thank you.
No problem. Come back and finalize to date. We should be able to go for a holiday when we know that we have sorted out whatever is outstanding. Next item.
Item 3.2, the Ministry of Works and Transport.
The Ministry of Works and Transport When you look at the items that have been addressed, the minister, one, the fiscal planners, can you get a paper and pen and write? The fiscal planners registration bill 2021 is under you. We need to know. Is that under lands or under works? Anyway, the traffic and road safety amendment bill is under you. Can we know the status?
Right, Honorable Speaker, the Ministry of Lands is Minister of Lands, Housing.
No, I
and Urban
withdrew
Development.
that one. I am on traffic.
Okay, thank you.
I am on traffic. Can I know the status of that bill? Through a motion to withdraw a request to borrow euros 96,270,833, which was equivalent of $108 million from Industrial and Commercial Bank of China to finance Masindi Biso Kavale. Can I know the status of that? 3, the report of the supplementary schedule 1 of 2021, the money that was provided for your department or your ministry. Can we know the status of what that supplementary did? How much it covered? The report on the National Budget Framework 2022-2023, 2026-2027, how much was released to you? How much you received? And what it has done? Are we together, Fred? Then the report on operations of Civil Aviation Authority. You saw what was in papers and everywhere. Can we know the status? A report on operation of Uganda Railways Corporation. Can we know it? A report on the ministerial policy statement and budget estimates for 2023-2024 on fiscal infrastructure sector. Can you also know that on top of what you're going to present? So can you present now what, that's what I saw you left out.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Begin with the resolution of Parliament urging government strengthen efforts for promoting road safety in Uganda. The resolution government increases funding for the road safety programs and activities.
Can I give guidance for the next reports? Resolution of Parliament urging government to strengthen the efforts of promoting road safety in Uganda arising out of report ABCD or arising out of oral question or arising out of emotion so that we can easily make a follow-up. Are we together, members? You must refer to something where you're getting that issue.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I beg, if it is in that case, that I be given time, I come up with a well-organized report because I had not referred to that when I was preparing my report.
Shadow, can I hear from the shadow? And then infrastructure.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I come on the mic with a very big smile. I've just been taking notes of what you have highlighted. We've had the interaction with ministry outside Parliament, and the issues we are raising, I'm sure they have no answers to date. So I would really agree and join my colleague as a checkmate to give him ample time to address these salient questions and areas where you've highlighted, Right Honorable Speaker. I beg to support him because as we talk, it will take hours for him to really answer and address this. But now that you have really guided, I'm very sure I will go home and come up with a response appropriate what has been raised by you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Fred, yes, infrastructure.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I just wanted to give clarification on two issues. One, the fiscal planners registration bill. We processed it here and they passed it. The president assented to it.
I thought that was withdrawn.
No, it wasn't.
Infrastructure, we said leave that out. We are looking at traffic. Unless if you're not hearing very well.
Right. Right, Honorable Speaker.
By the way, Chair, you vanished when we wanted you to present your report. And I am going to give all the chairs warning letters who vanish when they are supposed to be here. And first of all chairs are supposed to be in the house on a daily basis. That's why you're chairs. Yes.
Right, Honorable Speaker. Yes, I wrote to you a note on that. The second was the traffic amendment is under finance, not Ministry of Works. Yes, thank you.
Traffic?
Yes, it has
Traffic?
fees. Yes, Right Honorable Speaker. Road safety and traffic is under finance.
Oh, no.
Because it has fees, yes.
Abur, is that true?
Yes, Right Honorable Speaker. If you recall, those are one of the tax bills that we usually present on the floor. It has a component of fee. So it is under Ministry of Finance.
We are not talking about the fees. We are talking about Prime Minister. We are talking about the roads, how to regulate the road, the traffic on the road. Stop misleading this country.
Right, Honorable Speaker. All laws or acts that we have that has the component of revenue collection, it is only that component that goes to the Ministry of Finance, but it is also done by the line ministry. Let me give an example. The Ministry of Lands collects stamp duty. It falls under the Ministry of Lands, but the money goes to the consolidated fund. So the members are mixing up the issue of revenue collection and the issue of regulating that sector.
Council.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I think this falls under our docket. I'm also a member of the infrastructure. Matters of policy and operations basically fall under us, the line sector.
The Minister of
Then
Works.
the Minister of Finance just talks about collecting
The
dues.
revenues. Yes. Honorable member.
And in my response, Right Honorable Speaker, we have a response to their report in this regard.
Honorable member, and I hope you also have a response to the issues that I've raised. Honorable Minister, if you don't have the issues that I've raised, please pick a copy from my office to help you. So that when you're coming back, you come and when you have responded to them.
Most obliged, Right Honorable Speaker.
Remember, it is still under your ministry that issues of PAP, the project affected persons, was also raised. In different areas of Bunyoro, of where, go and look at the reports and come with it. PAPs. Yes, it came up several times. Yes.
Right, Honorable Speaker. I would like to know from the sector of works, how the sector will be affected by the new Traffic Act. I think that is of great interest because it has a lot of areas that are likely to be affected by the new act. So when you come to present, we will be interested to know how it is going to impact in many areas that is under your docket. Thank you.
Prime Minister.
Right, Honorable Speaker, what the Honorable Cecily Ogwal is raising is part of road safety that the Minister of Works will come here and explain. Thank you.
Next.
Item 3.3, the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries.
Minister of Agriculture. Honorable Bueno.
I thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I presented mine on the first day of the presentations. Thank you.
Minister of Agriculture, you presented?
Madam Speaker, the Minister of Agriculture did present, but it was only in respect to the resolution passed, one resolution that had touched different ministries. The one on cattle rustling and what they were supposed to do, but not on all the resolutions.
Minister of Agriculture, one, we have the Fisheries and Aquaculture Bill 2021. Can you give us an update to that effect? Are you writing? Two, we need a report on the supplementary schedule 1, 2021-2022. How much money you got, where did you put it, and what is the outcome? 3, the report on the National Budget Framework Paper 2022, 2023, 2026, 2027. We need a report on the revised expenditure estimates of 2021, 2022, and budgetary proposals for the estimated revenue amounting to 48,130,684,383. And then we need a report on the ministerial statement. And finally, we need on how much money you got from what was approved, or how much was released, and where was it put. So you will come back. You will come back and yes, but also you need to get a report from what opposition has, and then you go and work backwards and report back. Yes.
Right, Honorable Speaker, given the guidance that you have given us this afternoon, what we have, the record we have, and what we submitted to the clerk's office that was uploaded, does not read much your guidance. So my prayer to you that you give us more time and we come back and take into consideration the guidance you have given us, so that on Tuesday we can give more comprehensive reports. That's the request, Right Honorable Speaker.
But you appreciate what I am telling you, that if we gave money supplementary, we need to know what it did. If we gave a loan,
Right, Honorable Speaker, we had put more efforts on these other resolutions outside the budget framework paper, the budget, and also the supplementaries. And that is something that is running through our reports. And that's why I'm requesting for more time, because I've appreciated that your guidance is more comprehensive, more guiding, more detailed than what we have.
Thank you, thank you. Honorable Prime Minister, look, can we have copies of your, so that it guides?
Madam Speaker, most obliged, but as a matter of procedure, and you being the custodian of
No,
the
I am saying, can I have copies in my
but,
office? Because I have.
copies have already been supplied to your office, Madam Speaker, and ours we have scrutinized this.
You supplied my office to
report.
uploading.
We have uploaded even the responses. After scrutinizing the reports, including this one of agriculture, we have found so many gaps. And I would want to be on record on the floor of Parliament, raising these gaps before this action taken report. We are ready, Madam Speaker. As per that list of ministries that is on the order paper today, apart from that of trade, which featured after you amended the order paper.
No, the trade will still come back. No problem. Trade will, yes.
I want to thank you very much on this area, but there's something through to the Prime Minister. When you hear the speaker reading all those areas he has given, they must have been handled by this House. But what we need from you right now, Prime Minister, is that what the speaker is doing is removing laziness from ministers. What the speaker is reading is business for Parliament. It includes bills. I think you have been following that. No, the moment the speaker reads all these areas that have been demanded by the House as a resolution, the most important issue is ministers to take up responsibility of failing to produce those bills. Parliament works through bills and other business. But
the Prime Minister has accepted, they are going to take it up.
should be on record that you
And
want to
actually-
prove listeners.
And actually, she appreciates what we are adding into what they have. Honorable members, yes.
Honorable Speaker,
By the way, they are not lazy. My ministers are not lazy.
right, Honorable Speaker, I want to take this opportunity on behalf of the executive to thank you for leading us and guiding us as Parliament. Previously, last Parliament, these action points would come and be laid on table, but it has been improved that we have even to debate as we audit ourselves as Parliament and executive. So I want to thank you. But since it's the first of its kind, I would really plead, Right Honorable Speaker, the honorable member saying we are too lazy.
No,
That is-
I responded to that.
Thank you.
My ministers are not lazy. And one thing is, once you bring an action taken on the floor, once we debate it, I will also want you, the members of Parliament, to do your oversight and go and check whether it is really correct. If they say they worked on the road, is it true the road was worked on? If they say the project affected persons were paid, you need to confirm whether they paid. Let's not do lamentations in this house. And as I told you people, my house stops at 5. My house stops at 5. I therefore adjourn the house to Tuesday.